Welcome to Founders Archives, startup stories you don't see on stage. I'm your host, Cole, and today we are joined by Jake O'Shea, who is a principal at Antler Venture Capital's firm. He's also the founder of AITX, a AI startup community based in Texas. Jake, how are you today?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Good, yeah. Glad you're here. It's really nice out, so you picked a good day to show
Much
up.
nicer out here than it is in Austin. It's
Yeah.
like 85 degrees and humid over there, so
Yeah,
this is nice.
seriously. 85 and humid is rough, but it probably gets worse than that, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, seriously. All right. Well, just to kind of give a little bit of a personal touch on your story, if you could tell the audience just kind of like a 60-second, what's your background, right? Like, how did you end up where you are today, right?
Sure. So I grew up in Houston, Texas. I've lived in Texas my whole life. In high school, I got super into competitive speech and debate. So really liked arguing and getting prizes for arguing well. But more than that, really enjoyed just talking about lots of different ideas, issues, playing both sides of any kind of given topic or argument. And so that took me to the University of Texas at Austin to study government for college. While I was there, did an internship at Super PAC, a political action group, and was a little bit frustrated by what I saw as kind of a lack of progress, and not really trying to agree with the other side and move forward with common understanding, but more so to kind of find gotcha moments. And so, anyways, decided that I didn't want to build a career in government. That said, with a government degree, there's not a ton of job opportunities. So I started taking random internships, basically anything that looked interesting. Ended up landing at a local startup in Austin as an intern and just fell in love with the environment of building an early stage technology company. So once I discovered startups, kind of made it my goal to work with as many early stage founders as possible.
Yeah.
And that's led me to a career in venture capital.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. So you kind of have a varied past there a little bit, roundabout way to get to VC and startup territory.
Yeah, I did not go the classic route of like consulting, Stanford MBA, straight into investing.
Yeah.
I actually started in VC in what's called a platform role. So within VC, there's kind of two different types of career tracks. One is the investor track, where your job is to meet great founders, do diligence on them, make investments, and support them. And then the other side of that is called platform. And that's really helping companies post-investment. So really focused on how do you grow, how do you find customers, how do you raise more money. But I think through doing that, it gave me a lot of really great skills that now help me on the investing side.
Okay, gotcha. So you kind of have like a overall sort of, fully built out experience of the VC world since you've been in both angles.
Yeah, seen many sides of it.
Yeah. So what would you say is your ideal place to be within that? Is it your current role at Antler, kind of working directly with the early stage founders, that sort of thing?
Antler's really awesome because my first job out of college was at a place called Capital Factory.
Yeah.
It's an accelerator across the state of Texas. Very big portfolio, very broad. So we were working with companies that were building rocket ships and then also companies doing consumer software.
Okay.
There, I kind of built out a lot of the systems that they use to work with that many companies at scale.
Yeah.
I then went to a firm called Foundation Capital. They're a 30-year-old firm based in the Bay Area. Did a lot of very early stage pre-seed AI investing.
Okay.
That's what their firm's focus was. But me specifically, I was really focused on helping the companies acquire their first customers and get to their first $1 million of revenue. So learned a lot about how early companies take their product to market, how to build a sales funnel, how to talk to executive level people at larger enterprises.
Right.
And where I'm at currently at Antler is kind of like the best of both worlds there, where I'm still getting to work with lots of different types of companies like I did at Capital Factory. Right. Antler has no specific industry focus or thesis, so have invested in everything from consumer finance software to autonomous road-to-rail vehicles and like deep AI for scientific research.
Okay.
But I also get to still work very closely with the portfolio companies the way that I would at Foundation or at Capital Factory.
Sure, yeah.
Antler's model is really to bring in lots of early stage founders that are still kind of figuring out exactly what they're building and how they're going to get to this big, audacious vision that they have someday.
Right.
And the process of working with them is we bring them in as residents, and then we'll spend 30 minutes to an hour each week one-on-one with each team. And that's where we really get to know each other, build conviction in what they're doing, try to help out however we can, brainstorm, connect them with people, roll up our sleeves and help them build a go-to-market funnel, map out their fundraising strategy, things like that. So yeah, Antler is, I think, like a really great confluence of everything that I learned in the prior roles, but now also with that investing angle and really being able to double down on the teams that I'm most excited about and give them capital as well as kind of connections, advice, things like that.
Yeah. So when we say, founders working, Antler's working with founders from day zero, right? It's really like a bootstrapping process. You guys are in every step of the way, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, we work with people. There's kind of a spectrum. On one end of the spectrum is people that literally haven't built anything yet. So I know I want to build something.
Yeah.
I generally know I want to do it in this kind of market or space, but don't know exactly who my customer is, what the first product's going to be, how I'm going to take it to market, all the way through companies that maybe they have an initial MVP in market, have some early customers and revenue. No matter what, we try to be the first investors in companies. But really what we're trying to do is build conviction in the investment opportunity alongside the founders. Because once you decide to build a company, there's still this long process of defining exactly what that means and building conviction on like, okay, it's this product. Here's how we're going to take it to market. Here's the buyer. Here's the value proposition to our customers.
Yeah.
And so we just want to work with founders alongside them in that journey so that as they're building conviction, we are as well. So that when they're ready to raise money and know exactly what they need to do with it, we've already had the time with them to know that they're awesome entrepreneurs, that they're going to be successful. And then now we can give them the capital they need to take it to the next level.
Yeah. So it really helps Antler too, I'm sure, because there's probably a better success rate since you guys are working with them from day one. You can kind of help them on track to be in the right place, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're investing at that stage, so many questions are outstanding.
Yeah.
It's not like when you're investing in companies that have millions in revenue, a bunch of referenceable customers, et cetera.
Sure.
It's much more about like, do we believe that this company is going to be able to pivot and figure it out and ultimately execute strong enough to build a big company? And our opinion is the best way to build that conviction is actually just to spend time in person with the founders and get to know each other one-on-one. And then we use those insights to make great investments.
Yeah. It really emphasizes the point of like that I've heard often, which is it's about the team more so than it is about exactly what product it is or exactly what industry or, all of the above, right?
Yeah. There's this whole phase of discovery that happens before a product and go-to-market strategy. And our job at Antler is to really build conviction in the stage before, which is, can these founders get in front of interesting customers? Can they develop unique insights about the market? Can they ship product fast enough to test lots of different value propositions, see what resonates? And when you build conviction in that stage, then even when the company inevitably pivots, changes products, changes go-to-market strategies, et cetera, we're still supportive of the team because, again, we've built conviction in the stage before the product. So when all of that is amorphous and shifting, we still have conviction that it's going to be a good opportunity.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. I think that's a really valuable opportunity, especially for those entrepreneurs that get to work with you guys. Like it seems like there's a lot of support and belief in them as people, which probably helps carry them through to
and I mean
process.
Like as much as I'd love to say that like working with us is the best thing in the world, I do think it's valuable. I think we bring a lot of combined market insights and just are good brainstorming partners. We've seen a lot of companies go through these same challenges and can use that to help companies that we're currently working with. But time and time again, what I hear from residents that have worked with us, like the real value is in the community of other founders that are all navigating the same challenges. They're all helping each other. Iron sharpens iron. They're pushing each other to work harder. They're helping solve problems. This person's an expert at go-to-market. They can help this person who doesn't know go-to-market, but's an expert at engineering or product. So it's kind of this rising tide lifts all boats environment. And that's really like the core of why we do it in a residency format is we want to create that density of talent and of really smart, really ambitious people,
Yeah.
all navigating similar challenges, and kind of let them support each other as well as work with us and get access to the capital.
Yeah. Kind of a follow-up question about the residency of Antler. Would you say, like, obviously there's a really big emphasis on Zoom and all the online platforms, even like startups in general are using like Well-Found a lot more to find team members and do, virtual internships, that sort of thing, remote stuff. Would you say there is something to be said about having, a core team that's like in person and you're surrounded by other founders in that community? Like, what would you say, obviously, is like the substantial difference between that and doing remote internships?
Virtual. Yeah. I think at the end of the day, the speed of iteration is much faster if I can literally tap you on the shoulder and ask you a question.
Yeah.
That's always going to be faster to get the information back than sending a Slack message, sending an email, seeing if schedules align to hop on a Zoom call, etc.
Yeah.
I actually remember back when I first started working in 2019 after graduation, my first job at Capital Factory was basically matchmaking portfolio companies with downstream investors. So companies that we were working with wanted to raise more money. And when investors would visit Austin, I would basically set up office hours or meetings with them, with companies that fit their investment strategy. And back then, investors would only meet teams in person. They actually refused to do Zoom meetings or Google Meet.
Yeah.
There was some that did, but for the vast majority of companies, or for a vast majority of investors, they would only invest in companies that they were able to meet and work with in person. So it's kind of crazy how that script has flipped. I would say the vast majority of introductory meetings today actually happen virtually. But if you're a team and you're building and you need that fast iteration cycle, there's nothing that beats in person. And for us as investors, and one of the benefits of the in-person residency is, in addition to just spending that one-on-one time and having like much higher bandwidth communication with each other, you can read body language, you can talk for longer, you can go over. You also get all these kind of like water cooler conversations. A team will close a deal and then just walk by my office, be like, Jake, we just closed our first deal, Like you get some of those other interactions that just aren't possible in a fully virtual environment.
It's not like a LinkedIn post, like made
exactly.
my first deal. It's like you actually get to talk to somebody about it.
Exactly.
Get the congratulations.
Yeah, you get to know each other at a much deeper level when you have some of those just like random passerby moments or water cooler moments.
Right. Yeah, that seems really special. I do want to ask you. You seem like a really busy guy. With Antler, I mean, you're full-time at Antler, and you're also kind of full-time at AITX, is my understanding. So I wanted to ask you about AITX. If you could describe a little bit more in depth, maybe what AITX is about. I know it's a community of AI founders and sort of people interested in entrepreneurship space in Texas, right? But what's your role with that, and how has that kind of shaped you as a person? Like, how does that give you a different, aspect of entrepreneurship?
Yeah,
being in that side versus just Antler as well.
Definitely. So while I was at Foundation Capital, I guess taking a step back, when I was a little kid, one thing I would do in the summers is create these like crazy booby traps, like Home Alone style booby traps, where someone opened my front door, it would pull a string that then pulled a fan switch, and then the fan would spin a ball that would knock something over and like make an alarm sound or something like that. So I always like enjoyed building systems, building processes. When I was at Capital Factory, I started getting a little bit more into actually like coding and building software, but still was relying a lot on things like Airtable, Zapier, like lower code solutions. When I was at Foundation, I was seeing companies build things with GPT-3. This was pre-ChatGPT, but post what was called like the playground. So you could go to OpenAI's website, and basically they had an API playground where you could give it a prompt and it would return back what the output would be. And so I started using that to code and debug things. So I would write Python, I would try to run it. If it didn't work, I would put it in the GPT playground, and it would help me debug and like make progress.
Mm.
So I started building like real software. Like one of the tools that I built at Foundation was a semantic CRM. So basically, I saw this problem where like portfolio companies would, let's say somebody needed an introduction to the WhatsApp team. Usually the portfolio company just interacts with the partner that invested in that company specifically. But meanwhile, this partner over here has the perfect contact for them. But there's like a gap of communication where this partner doesn't talk about it to where this partner knows about it.
Right.
So instead, what I did was I took everyone that all the partners at the firm knew, I scraped their LinkedIn profiles, I generated bios saying like this person has this degree, they worked here, they have expertise in this. And then I used semantic embeddings. So basically a mathematical way to see how two bodies of text are similar. And I created a system where now I could go to the founders and say, hey, if you want an intro to whoever you want, just type it in natural language and we'll match you with whoever the firm knows, right?
Okay.
And so it was this really cool product that added a ton of value to the companies and even just internally with the investors. And I had a lot of fun building it. And so while I was in San Francisco visiting for work, I would go to these events and I would meet lots of other builders and people like me that were self-taught but building really cool stuff with AI. And at the same time, I learned how important engineers were to building great technology companies. I'd always kind of intellectually understood it, but when I saw the types of founders Foundation was backing and how highly they valued engineering excellence, I just understood at a deeper level how important engineering community was and great engineers were. Right. And so when I came back to Austin, I would go to events and try to meet other builders, right? People actively using AI to build cool stuff. Yeah. And I kind of saw there was two types of AI events going on at the time. One was these deeply technical PhD researchers that would discuss white papers and go through the math. And it was always fascinating and I learned something, but it was a little too intellectual, not enough hands on the ground. Sure. And I didn't have a deep enough understanding to participate in those conversations. Yeah. And then on the other end of the spectrum, there was a lot of very like business focused AI meetups where it's like, hey, AI is here. Here's what a chatbot is. Here's what a RAG system is. And it, again, wasn't hands-on enough, but also wasn't deep enough in the technology. So I noticed just in general in Texas, there wasn't a big community of builders or for builders. And so really started AITX to create a community for people that were actively playing around with, tinkering with, and building with AI. So we started it early 2023, myself and my partner, Michael, really just as a meetup for people that were building stuff with AI. And it kind of gained a lot of organic momentum. And really like the mission or goal with AITX is to shine a light on some of the cool stuff that's going on with AI in Texas. Yeah. I think when a lot of people think about AI and just cutting edge technology, they think of the Bay Area or New York City, and for good reason. Those are definitely the hubs of it. Sure. But I think the engineering community in Texas is seriously underrated. People are building really incredible products. They're solving complex technical challenges. And like our goal is really to empower the builder community of Austin to make it a better place for people to build tech companies, hire tech talent, and just generally a better ecosystem for everyone. Yeah. So now we still do our monthly meetups. We've also moved into a lot larger events. We've done a bunch of hackathons at this point. We did a Llama hackathon with Meta last fall. We're doing another hackathon with NVIDIA this fall. We do private developer dinners for engineering executives. We'll do AI product breakfasts for product people and just boots on the ground engineers. And yeah, it's almost like another full-time job with Antler. But the great thing is, like, one, Antler's been super supportive of all the work with AITX. And it synergizes very well, right? Having great engineers is core to having great investment opportunities. So I've found 3 or 4 investments through that community and through engaging engineers in that way. I've helped a bunch of different portfolio companies hire CTOs, hire founding engineers. It's grown Antler's brand a lot across the state of Texas because Antler is like the main sponsor of everything we do with AITX. It's driven a bunch of our applications. And so it's great because it's not about like, oh, I have to put all my effort into Antler and all my effort into AITX. It's kind of like I put as much effort as I can into both, but they both feed each other. Antler makes AITX better, AITX makes Antler better, and all of it just helps me be a better investor.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's kind of amazing how you have, sort of this cycle that kind of helps you propel yourself forward as well. But do you sleep though? With two full-time
Not
jobs,
enough. Not enough.
or have a personal life? I mean, geez.
Yeah, I just got married a few weeks
Oh
ago.
wow!
I have
Congratulations.
2 dogs. Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I've got a great group of friends, some from college, some from post college. I think a
Yeah.
cool thing about working with entrepreneurs and just in the venture capital ecosystem is one, everybody's very friendly, especially in Texas, because it's less of an established market. Everyone's trying to help everyone else because if one firm or one company does really well, everyone else benefits from that.
Yeah.
And so a lot of my best friends are entrepreneurs, they're other investors.
Yeah.
So again, like it all kind of synergizes well. And
Yeah.
maybe I don't sleep enough, but I'm having a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I think that's good for people to hear that because honestly, a lot of the talk is that you can't have like a work-life balance if you're in the startup space and you want to like have a life. Honestly, I've been kind of talking to people about that, and the overwhelming majority say that like those two things don't go together. So um, it's nice to hear somebody else have a different perspective on that.
Yeah.
Especially
Well,
with
I
two
mean, it's
full-time
tough, right?
jobs.
Like if
Yeah.
you're trying to be unreasonably successful, you have to work unreasonably hard.
Yeah.
One of the GPs at Foundation Capital said that one time, and it really like stuck with me.
Mm.
I specifically look for in founders like a degree of obsession with their problem, obsession with their customer, obsession with like making this vision a reality. And sometimes that comes at the expense of what would traditionally be known as like work-life balance.
Sure.
I think everyone just needs to find something that works for them.
Yeah.
And like I said, like I feel like I have more work-life balance because a lot of the stuff that would otherwise be categorized as hanging out with friends
Mm.
is also relevant work-wise.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I think everyone just needs to find that combination that works with them.
Yeah.
It's definitely not either or. There's a happy medium to everything. But I do again, like there's no getting around that you're going to have to work a lot harder than someone else who's not trying to do something unreasonable if you want to create something unreasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
that's where the coolest stuff happens, right?
That's true.
Like Elon
That's
Musk
true.
is a psycho, but
I
he's
know.
built some crazy companies
Yeah.
because of that.
Yeah. Pretty insane. Yeah.
Steve Jobs too, like all these great entrepreneurs, they're a little bit psycho and obsessive, and it's not for
Seriously.
everyone, but those people have figured out a way to make it work.
Yeah. Meta, the lizard man. You know?
There you go.
He's
The lizard man.
Same.
Shout out
thing,
Mark
Same
Zuckerberg.
case.
Shout out Zuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, actually, getting back to AI, I wanted to ask your opinion on that. Since obviously AITX that's probably one of the main focuses. So like you did mention that it's really important that we have engineers that are behind all this technological innovation and things of that nature. But do you see anything changing in that space with the rapid acceleration of AI and there's talks of like super intelligence and things of that nature? Like, how do you see AI kind of shaping the next 5 years or something like that? Do you think there's going to be a substantial shift in the importance of those technical skills because they'll be kind of taken up by AI? Or
Yeah.
I know it's a hard question.
It's
but
a really good question. So if you play around with some of these vibe coding tools and platforms, what you'll realize is that it's pretty good at building a front end and kind of making a proof of concept.
Yeah.
But when you want it to become a truly scalable product, it's just not there yet. Now there's a question of will it eventually get there? And honestly, I think that yeah, for the most part it will. But all of these systems require human input and output. And I feel really grateful to have started like what would now be known as vibe coding with like that OpenAI playground
Mhm.
as early as I did, because it wasn't very good, right? It would help with debugging, but it wouldn't write all of the code for me.
Yeah.
So I was able to kind of learn in tandem with these systems.
Yeah.
And I think now if you open up a platform like Replit or Lovable, it just builds everything for you.
Yeah.
And you just talk back and forth until it works. And I think that for a lot of things, like you're just never going to get it fine-tuned enough.
Mm.
So like tying this back to your question or your answer or tying this back to your question, I think the role of technical expertise is definitely going to evolve or change, but it's not going to go away. It's just going to change in nature, right? Instead of writing unit testing where you write out specific tests for each function of a program to see where it breaks, you're going to instead have AI doing that, but you're going to be making architectural decisions. You're going to say how you want to structure API calls, how you want to structure the information back. What do you want your database to look like? How do you want it to integrate with other systems or other databases?
Sure.
And a lot of those decisions, it helps to have kind of a formal technical background or formal training to understand the trade-offs. Because at the end of the day, every decision you make in the infrastructure of the software has some sort of trade-offs, right? You'll trade off speed for stability here. You'll trade off consistency for like lower cost here. And I think that technical expertise is relevant to understand what those trade-offs are and what makes the most sense in each given situation. So I think for entry-level engineers, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out because those decisions you kind of learn by doing. And so mid and senior level engineers will always have a role to play in kind of guiding those systems and evaluating those trade-offs. Entry-level engineers are going to have to figure out how to learn that on their own because now some of the things that they would be doing otherwise in an entry-level role are totally taken over by AI. So, I mean, my take is that we're going to end up having a lot more entrepreneurs. I think that because it's easier to build software, get it in front of people, et cetera, there's a lot of people that will just build their own micro software tools. It'll generate $150,000 a year of revenue, which will cover the cost and cover the living expenses of whoever built it. And there will be like a proliferation of these smaller tools. And I think that's like a more optimistic view of the future is everyone now is empowered to build their own thing.
Right.
The pessimistic take is that a lot of people are going to lose their jobs and someone will have to step in and like create opportunities for them to work. Otherwise we'll have societal instability. Not to get too dark, but
well, I mean, it's real though. It's so real. Like that's what the conversation is right now, right? Like what jobs are going to get replaced? Like how do we prepare ourselves for this AI revolution?
Yeah. Well, I'll say too, like the AI systems are really best at kind of getting you started in a direction.
Yeah.
But you can't just take their output and use it. It's not very good. And
Well,
like you can tell
but
when
in 5
something's
years,
AI generated.
In 5 years though, right?
Potentially. But like when you think about how language models work, it's basically predicting things based on all the other data that you have.
True.
So one of the open technical questions is, can you ever generate anything that's actually unique or novel if everything that it outputs is based on training data that it already has?
Yeah.
And I know people that have much better backgrounds in this stuff have stronger opinions than me, but like I personally think that there's always going to be a role for like human judgment and human taste.
Yes.
And like that taste component is really important that I don't know that an AI is ever going to be able to replicate that. Like I think at some point a human has to come in and say, I like the way this sounds. I'm going to change it slightly here.
Yeah.
I don't like these other 5 options, but generating this first option saved me like 60% of my time.
Yeah. So there's still a need for human input.
I think so. I just think it becomes much more about human taste and judgment as opposed to like raw human intellectual capacity to put something on paper.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And it kind of actually maybe diving a bit deeper into some of like the non-technical aspects of what AI will replace, right? So I know we mentioned obviously like Antler and it creates this great community of entrepreneurs, right? That's something you can't really replicate with AI, of course. And so, you know, kind of in that same realm, in that same sort of vein, you know, what qualities would you say are going to be the most important in the next 5 years for entrepreneurs to have to make themselves stand out? Because there's going to be a million entrepreneurs that know how to use AI and can put together things that are like reasonably good in very little time, right? So what's going to make the difference, you know?
Yeah. Well, I touched on one just previously, but like this idea of taste or like what you as a individual think is good or better, like stack ranking things and picking the top one.
Yeah.
I think like taste is really important in terms of how you market a product. It's It's also incredibly important in the user experience of a product, how people are using your product, how they interact with the technology. I think that's incredibly important, and will continue to be important over the next 5 years. Another is just a willingness to try things and fail. That's always been important for entrepreneurs, but I think it's extra important today. If you have two entrepreneurs, both of them can vibe code a product in an hour, but one of them is then sharing it with 100 customers or tweeting about it or posting about it or whatever, immediately getting feedback and iterating on it, versus this one is going slow, trying to refine the product a little bit more on their own, like not going out and executing and getting feedback. This person's going to win 10 times out of 10 because they're getting a lot more feedback.
Yeah.
And like one of the things that I tell people when they like start vibe coding and start trying to build their own software is like, you've got to be willing to fail over and over and over again, because for the first like 20 to 50 hours of trying to like vibe code or build software on your own, you're going to just fail. But eventually you'll break through that wall, you'll figure out what happened. And then every time after that, it's going to be a lot easier. And so that's, I think, the second thing is just a willingness to take action and iterate based off of that feedback. It still takes a lot of, like, if I had to put that into a personality trait, it's like courage. Like you have to be brave and willing to like maybe look dumb or maybe have something not work out if you put it out into the world so that you can learn and get better. And then I think the last one is just like, I'm not sure exactly the right way to describe this, but self-actualization, like just a strong sense of who you are, what you want to achieve, and how you want to go about doing business and like living your life.
Yeah.
Like I think
Confidence,
a little bit confidence, but it's much
part
more
of it,
like
yeah.
it's super like a lot of the best entrepreneurs that I work with are super weird or quirky in one way, right? There's this one woman, Asha Livide. She runs a company that has her own custom AI models that will automatically validate and replicate scientific research. So stop this replicability crisis that's happening with science that works one time but can't ever be replicated in the labs, right? She graduated high school when she was 11. She got her college degree when she was 15. She's like a super genius. But she also lived on a reindeer farm in Russia for 2 years.
Wow.
Just because she was obsessed with Russian literature and loved math, and there's lots of great Russian mathematicians. Like she doesn't care
Very
what everyone
interesting.
else is doing. Yeah, she's very interesting, very self-actualized person.
Yeah.
And if you ask her, you're like, why'd you spend so much time on the reindeer farm? And she's like, the Russians are really nice, and I was having a good time. I was enjoying it. You know, she wasn't caring about
As simple as that.
what the world thought, right? She had a point of view of what she wanted to do and how she wanted to do it, and she pursued that.
Yeah.
And so those are all things that I think are going to be important in this like future world where AI is kind of seeping in to all aspects of life.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep that human aspect of life, you know, because that's something we're going to have to cherish in the next 10 years and beyond, right?
Definitely.
Because so many things are probably going to get replaced, but can never replace the human interaction aspect, right?
Nope.
So, okay, so I do want to ask you, you have a co-founder for AITX, and you know I'm kind of interested in seeing your story of how you maybe met him or how you guys ended up founding something together, because a lot of our listeners might be first-time founders or people looking for a co-founder or a team, and obviously we touched on how important that is in the startup space, right, to have good people. So, you know, maybe what's your story in that regard, and what would you recommend for students or, you know, young entrepreneurs that are looking for a co-founder? Like, how would they go about that process? Who should they look for? What qualities?
Yeah.
Things like that.
So I'll start with Michael. Shout out Michael Dagler. He's my partner in AITX.
Shout out.
I met Michael at a random South by Southwest event in early 2023. And around that time, I was thinking a lot about AITX and just this like need for a builder community in Texas. But I knew that if I tried to do it all myself, one, there would be a ton of pressure on me. But two, I would just end up bringing out people that already knew me. And I wanted to expand kind of the reach of who we were reaching out to. So I asked Michael if he liked the idea. He was just a local engineer, entrepreneur of his own. He did. There was a couple other people that I also kind of like looped in and I was like, hey, let's all invite our different communities and like together we'll kind of bring these people together. And so that's kind of how we met and started working together. But for the first like a little over a year, it was kind of just this slow burn of like we were bringing people together. We had some signals that we were creating a lot of value. Like we had two people meet at a meetup and then go win the Techstars AI hackathon and start a company.
Wow.
We had another founder that came to our event and demoed his product and got a bunch of great early signups and beta users. So we had some signals that things were working. But Michael really took a ton of initiative and started a weekly newsletter where he would do a bunch of research, find all the AI events, ours and others, relevant AI news in Texas, et cetera, and put it out week over week, every single week, consistently Friday mornings. And it was a ton of work, but it also provided this constant heartbeat for us to interact with the community. It provided a mechanism for us to promote our events. Like it added a bunch of value to the community. And he was just there all the time. He was the only one that would consistently show up, consistently make things happen, and really like take initiative to just do stuff on his own within the AITX brand.
Yeah.
So when it came time to start having sponsors get involved to help cover the costs of some of the bigger events, et cetera, I, formally kind of talked to Michael and was like, hey, do you want to come on board and kind of be a co-founder of this with me? So that's how that worked. And it's great because he also augments a lot of the skills that I don't have. And that's maybe one piece of advice for student entrepreneurs is find someone that complements your skill set.
Right.
So I like talking in front of big groups of people. That's why I'm here. I like kind of organizing the events, the high level. I'll create the graphics and the branding and stuff like that. Michael is really great with the newsletter. He also understands content and stuff that's online in a like much deeper way than I ever do. I think that's going to end up being a core driver for the community's growth over time. We've got in-person stuff in Texas locked, but how do we create an online presence, an online community so that people in Oklahoma or here in Illinois can kind of see what's going on, plug into the community, things like that. So that's one piece of advice. Second piece of advice that I would give to people looking for co-founders is test out working with each other in a real environment before you formalize a co-founder relationship. Number one reason startups fail at the early stage is co-founder breakups. It's not that they ran out of money. It's not that they couldn't get the product to market. Number one is co-founder breakups.
Wow.
So it's really important to have a good relationship with your co-founder. The average marriage in the US doesn't last as long as the average co-founder relationship.
Yeah.
That says something sad about the state of like marriage in America.
It really does.
But it also shows like how long-term and deep these relationships with co-founders are. So like with Michael, we were able to work together for almost a full year before we ever had to think about incorporating. So we had that experience. For founders, my recommendation is like go to hackathons. Find some sort of like time-boxed project that you can work on where there's some sort of pressure and you have to ship something in a certain amount of time to put yourself in more real-world positions to understand what it's like to actually be a co-founder.
Right.
And then the other piece of advice to that is like put both of yourselves on a vesting schedule. Right?
What does that mean?
So a vesting schedule is like, let's say you have 50% of the shares of a company. A vesting schedule says these 50% of shares are allocated to you, but you only get them after a certain time period. Most companies, it's a 4-year vesting schedule with a 1-year cliff, meaning that the shares are allocated and reserved for you, but you don't get any of them until after the first year. Once you hit the cliff, then you get the first 25%. And then every month or every quarter after that, you get whatever percentage is remaining until you get through the full 4 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
That's how you avoid situations where
Keeps people motivated.
keeps people motivated, but also gives you the ability to, like, let's say you start working together and then 6 months in, it's just not working out. If you have already given them the shares, now the company's dead because they have 50% of the company and they're not involved. If you're on a vesting schedule, they haven't vested any of their shares yet. They haven't hit that cliff.
Yeah.
So the company can keep going. You just need to find someone else to fill that role or fill that spot.
Yeah.
So that's another piece of advice. And then last piece of advice on that is like spend a lot of time, like go try to find co-founders. There's a few great resources for that. One is YC's co-founder matching tool online. Lots and lots of founders that I've met have used that. Yeah. That might be something I vibe code for Antler because it's a really valuable platform and it's not too technically complex. But that's a great platform to find people that are looking to build something, looking to team up. The second is an app called Coffee Space. Coffee Space, really, really great community-focused app, specifically to find co-founders and early hires. And then the third would be like going to local events, right? Going to stuff at the University of Illinois for entrepreneurs.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys do this, but you should do some sort of co-founder matching event where people that are looking to team up can just have kind of like speed dating coffee chat sessions with other people looking to team up. Do hackathons. Hackathons, again, are one of the best ways for you to find potential co-founders and explore what it's like to work with them in a pressure situation.
Right.
So yeah, that's a little bit on kind of co-founders and advice.
Yeah, thank you. That was very in depth, so I appreciate that,
Thanks,
and
man.
they will too. Seriously. All right, so we will let's move into kind of like an ending sort of question. If someone wants to break into maybe the startup space or the VC space, has an idea maybe they don't have much experience, right? Where do you recommend they start? And I know we kind of covered this a little bit while going to hackathons and things of that nature, right? Like that's probably a good way to go about it. But what is the first steps, and what do you really recommend?
Yeah, I think that the number one thing for anyone that wants to work with startups or in venture capital is go work at a startup. Like see what it's actually like. Great thing about startups, they don't have a lot of money and they're always looking for help. So if you're like a smart, scrappy person, just reach out to the CEO of a company and like make it personal. Let them know that you did your research and share what value you think you could add. But I think you'd be surprised at the types of conversations that you can get if you just put yourself out there. So just reach out to startups and offer to help. You're not always going to get paid, but you'll get great experience.
Yeah.
And it'll help you kind of understand the landscape. It'll give you experience to go to other startups and maybe work with them. I think that's like the single best way to get started, whether you want to start your own startup, whether you want to get into venture capital, or whether you want to work at a startup as a career.
Right.
Because there's lots of very successful people that just work at startups their whole career.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, my biggest piece of advice. And then the second is like specifically for people that want to be on the investing side, figure out how to be helpful and valuable to companies, right? If you don't have any sense for what companies are going through, or if you can't be valuable to them outside of just writing a check, you're not going to be able to work with some of the best entrepreneurs, because those people want people that have expertise outside of writing a check, right? So it can be operational expertise, it can be domain expertise, but figure out some way it could be network expertise, right? If you're very good at networking and you can make introductions to investors or make introductions to customers, like every company needs help with three things: talent, right? Hiring really great people, capital, raising more money, and then customers, growing revenue. And so if you can figure out ways to be valuable to companies doing those things, then you'll be a much better investor, because better companies will want to work with you, and you'll start to naturally get introduced to other founders that want help and want to work with you.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. And the last thing is, if anyone wants to get involved with Antler, or they want to connect with you or something like that, where can they find you? What should they get involved with? Maybe AITX or something?
Yeah. So subscribe to the AITX newsletter. It's aitx.beehive.com. Beehive is BHIIV. For Antler, we do weekly Ask Me Anythings. That's where our team will go through exactly what it means to participate in Antler, become a resident, get funded, etc. If you use my link, it's to.antler.co/AITX. That'll make sure
we'll link that in the description.
Right on. That'll make sure that you get to the top of the review pile and your application gets seen by someone on our team. And yeah, for me personally, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter at Jake_O'Shea. Yeah, those are the best ways to keep in touch. Oh, and the AITX community podcast, give that a listen. It's long form interviews with some of the best AI researchers, engineers, entrepreneurs, operators across Texas. That's on Spotify and YouTube. So I can give you guys links for that as well.
Sounds good. It'll all be in the description. Check it out.
Check it out.
All right, Jake, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks,
it was great talking to you.
Likewise.
That is it for today's episode of Founders Archives, and stay curious. See you next time.